Right off the top this morning, a live look at our very own Gracie Palmer. There she is. She's keeping her eyes peeled on the roadways this morning, talking with NCDOT engineers just to see how they're getting ready for the snow. Gracie, hang tight. We'll be back to you in just a few minutes. But first, let's go ahead and toss it over to meteorologist Megan Danahay, standing by in the Weather Center, working hard, tracking this, the second storm of the past 2 weeks. Megan, a lot to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, and I think Gracie will have some interesting information for us, too. It's not too often that NCDOT gets two storms in a row. These will be totally different storms, however. Last weekend, we were dealing with freezing rain and sleet. This weekend, we'll be dealing with accumulating snow, and it'll be the best snowfall we have seen around these parts since going back to January of 2022. We'll see accumulating snow. It will be dry and fluffy. Should be pretty to look at, but not so great to get out and drive around in. We will also be really cold with this system as well. This morning we're in the teens and low 20s. It is dry. That snow doesn't start until later this afternoon, and then it ramps up tonight. I'll show you hour by hour with Futurecast coming up.
All right, thank you there, Megan. Winter weather causing some school delays and cancellations. Running on a 1-hour delay is Rutherford County. On remote learning days this morning, Burke, Henderson, Madison, and Mitchell counties. And finally, Avery and Polk County schools will be closed for staff and students. As always, you can find these scrolling at the bottom of your screen and on our website or at our WLOS 13 app. On the free app, breaking news and weather alerts sent directly to your phone as they come in. Just search WLOS in your app store. And due to the anticipated treacherous weather conditions, North Carolina is now in a state of emergency for the second weekend in a row. Yesterday, Governor Josh Stein took to X to highlight the activation of the state emergency response team. Now, they are positioning resources across the state, according to his post. He advises staying off the roadways if you don't have to travel. And this morning, parts of western North Carolina are still digging out from last week's ice storm, which is why NCDOT crews are gearing up for another busy weekend. Checking back in with News 13's Gracie Palmer now. Yesterday, you spoke with some of the engineers about their plans for the roadways. What'd you learn, Gracie?
Yeah, Charles, I did. You can see behind me, there's honestly not much activity happening this morning at NCDOT's Buncombe County Maintenance Yard because the crews tell me that there is still a substantial amount of salt on our roadways right now from last week's storm, that they aren't planning to apply any brine on the roads this week. And Henderson County is in that same boat. Their main focus right now is just melting the ice that's left over from last week and plowing the snow as it comes down this weekend. Henderson County, hit hard by last week's ice storm, still has residents stuck in their homes, which is why engineers with DOT say they're still focused on just plowing.
The biggest worry is getting people out so that they can stock up and prepare for the next one. So we brought in extra crews. We've got 10 extra trucks. We've got salt coming from the Port of Wilmington.
All the salt from last week that you see on the roads is likely is the white substance that you've most likely seen on all public roads when you head out the door. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated as this storm moves in today, both on air and online. In Buncombe County, Gracie Palmer, News 13.
Now, your on-time traffic report, brought to you by Fred Anderson Toyota of Asheville.
And it's time to take our first look at traffic this half hour. A lot of green on your screen. All the major arteries seem to be pretty open and moving along pretty smoothly. Where we had a slight slowdown before on I-40 at the I-26 intersection, it seems to be back up to normal speeds in that area. Let's take a live look at I-26 at Long Shoals Road. Traffic is pretty sparse and moving along pretty steadily. All good so far this morning. And a reminder now, with temperatures staying below 30 degrees, Code Purple shelters will stay open tonight through the weekend. Women needing a warm and safe place to stay, shelter at Baum Grove or the location on Olin Haven Way. 2 men's shelters are also available, one on New Leicester Highway, the other on Haywood Street. Additionally, a shelter for couples and people with pets available on Ann Street. Entry for all shelters begins at 6 p.m. and ends at 8.
Hi.
Megan, we've got some schools, possibly delays, closures all in anticipation of this weather moving on.
Well, I think those are actually from last week's storms.
Really?
These closures and delays that we're having now.
Wow.
Could see more as we get into next week.
That's a lot.
Yeah, because we're going to see lingering impacts from this storm on Monday even. So we got a lot going on weather-wise. A second winter storm for a second weekend in a row. Temperatures are in the teens and 20s right now. We'll see highs in the 30s, and it will be a quiet day until we hit mid-afternoon. That's when we're going to start to see that snow develop. Look at the winter storm warnings. That's all pink, and those are winter storm warnings for the entire state of North Carolina. All counties under a winter storm warning. Most of the counties in South Carolina. In the mountains, this winter storm warning begins at 4 p.m. It also begins at 4 for the Upstate and for northeastern Georgia. That's about when we're going to start to see this snow develop. It will be very light and fluffy snow. It will rapidly stick to surfaces, including roadways. So once the snow begins later today, travel could become treacherous quickly, and then travel will really become lousy tonight into tomorrow. That snow is going to be ramping up and spreading across the entire region here. We should see the heaviest snow of this event late tonight for the first half of tomorrow. Notice we're seeing snow all across the area. That continues through midday. Tomorrow afternoon, the axis of heaviest snow is going to start to shift into the Piedmont, but we will continue to accumulate snow in the mountains. You can see across the French Broad River Valley, of course, those high locations that always see the snow end last, and that will end Saturday night into Sunday morning when we see temperatures drop into the single digits. That's the other part of this system. It's going to be brutally cold. We see a very good chance all across the area of a 2-inch snow. Here's the 4-inch snow chances, and you can see how high those are for all of our mountains. Notice this sharp cutoff here in the Upstate, especially when we go to a 6-inch snow. You can see even Hendersonville, Asheville for this probability of a 6-inch snow in the 50 to 70% range, 70 to 90% there north of Asheville. Again, this sharp cutoff across the Upstate. So this is what the snow maps look like. I expect a widespread 4 inches of snow across the mountains. We will see some of those locations in spots getting 6 to 8 inches of snow. Of course, our higher elevations there near Tennessee always see the most, and that will not be different in this situation. Across the Upstate, you can see our higher totals along I-85 over toward Charlotte. The farther west and south you travel, the lower those totals will be. We expect, again, this snow to spread across the region to the south and east this evening. Roads will turn slick. Travel conditions will really get treacherous tonight. And tomorrow you don't want to go out if you don't have to. We're going to see heavy snow, blowing snow. The winds are going to crank up. And then what's left out there on Saturday night will still be treacherous. We'll see wind and cold and not much melting as we go into Sunday. Take a look at these temperatures over the weekend. Highs in the 20s, 22 on Saturday, 22 on Sunday. Low temperatures in the single digits and sub-zero wind chills. Charles.
All right, thank you there, Megan. Well, as Megan has just told us, there is a lot of potential for significant snow in the weekend forecast, but some are asking, if that snow was rain, how much would it actually be? Meteorologist Julia Haley shows us why it depends on what kind of snow it is.
Not all snow is the same. Some snow is dense and heavy, while other snow is light and airy. We measure that difference using the snow to liquid ratio. We'll start with 1/10 of an inch of liquid water. Here's how the math works. With an 8-to-1 ratio, we take that 1/10 of an inch of water and apply a factor of 8. That results in 8/10 of an inch of snow. The air is warmer and snowflakes are denser, so the snow packs down quickly. With a 10-to-1 ratio, that same 1/10 of an inch of water turns into 1 inch of snow. Flakes are better formed, so the snow stacks a little higher. With a 15-to-1 ratio, that same amount of liquid water builds up to 1.5 inches of snow. Colder air allows for snowflakes to grow larger and more complex, trapping more air as they fall and allowing for fluffier snow.
All right, thanks there, Julia. This morning, State of Emergency Management in North Carolina is issuing some advice on X for you if the latest bout of cold weather continues to move in. They say once the temperature drops below below, I can see on my breath. I guess that's what they mean, when you can see your breath. When it drops below that, fashion goes out the window. Be sure to mix and match your warmest clothing. And don't forget to accessorize with a hat, some gloves or mittens, and a scarf to complete your winter look.